lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Coming to an impressive 5th consecutive track, we arrive at the final stop in the UK tour of this Lotus 49 season, and they've left what is possibly the most difficult track for last. Oulton Park is a fast and tricky course in its own right. Take away the chicanes and this place is downright terrifying. But that's the kind of thing this vintage racing crowd enjoys. In the end, only one will be able to celebrate a victory, and we'll soon find out who, as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Oulton is another divisive track, both loved and loathed by drivers. Tell us a little bit about the circuit.
Joe, set in a former country estate, Oulton Park's sweeping contours and picturesque setting have ensured it's one of England's most popular racetracks, almost from its very first laps in the 1950s. Located near the village of Little Budworth, just outside Tarporley in Cheshire, the first race was organized for Formula 3 cars and motorcycles back in August of 1953. It was also a venue for a slice of Formula 1 history back in 1961 when Sir Stirling Moss took the unique four-wheel drive Ferguson to victory, the only time a total traction car has triumphed in the top category. Four-wheel drives later were banned, obviously. So now this track, the International No Chicane Circuit, not necessarily the one you just saw in course, we don't have the chicane today. It's 2.6 miles, 4.3 kilometers, and has 12 turns. But the best way to get an idea of what it's really like to get around Old Oulton Park is to hop on board the GSRC Lotus 49 for a lap around.
Alright, we've got Billy Bob Wright and the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Oulton Park. Down in Old Hall Corner, there's a deceptively late apex here. Turn in too early and you'll find yourself using up the runoff. Up next is Denton's, which is flat out in most cars, but with the 49 you need a big lift to make sure you're on the correct line. Hold off to the right and then ease it around Cascades. You'll need patience before you fully get to the throttle out of here. And yet it's very important to not hesitate too much because it's a decently long run down Lakeside up to Island Bend. If ever there was a corner that requires bravery, this is one. Understeer and oversteer can both spell the end of your day in a flash. Then keep the car to the left and throw out the anchors for Shell Oil's corner. It's going to be pretty hard to set up passes into here, but coming off, be gentle with how hard you apply the throttle. After that, you'll need a big lift and as wide an entry as you can through turn 6. And yet the backstretch is not without dangers either. The car can get loose over the crest of Hilltop, and it might be a good idea to lift off the throttle just a hair. From there, you plunge into the braking for Knickerbrook. This fast kink requires incredible precision, and it won't be uncommon for drivers to wreck the car here. Just to emphasize the lack of downforce on this car, Clay Hill and Water Tower also can't be taken flat out. Hold the car to the left and straighten it out for the braking into Druids. There's 2 apexes to clip, then watch out for the crest on the exit. From there, Lodge can sometimes offer passing opportunities, but you need a really good run on your competitor. Stab the brakes hard, and then the track really drops away coming out of here, so be wary not to loop it. From there, you'll moderate the throttle over the hill, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Oulton Park. I'm not sure that lap guide even really makes it clear how diabolical this track is in this car. You'll get a better sense of it once they get up to speed and are racing. But with about 6 minutes left in the qualifying, let's take a glance at the points championship. And you can see Ove Trangrade is now tied with Dudagnan for that first place. And Ove is going to have to try and do something special to hold on to this championship. Billy Bob Wright still kind of hovering around there in third. He's been having a good season, but he's going to have to get some better results to try and jump those two ahead of him. Bruce Snelson falls down a position even into fourth, and then we still have 2 drivers tied for 5th. I think this is what, the third weekend in a row that we've had drivers tied for 5th, Sean?
Oh, it's been a logjam, I think, since this season started, actually, Joe.
And of course, we also have the Constructors' Championship, Sean.
We do. And currently in the Constructors' Championship, well, there's Norway sitting on top. But, well, look who's following there, close behind. Not even close behind. France tied currently with Norway. So both countries separated by not much. They're in first place together now. United States just 4 points back. And, well, we've got a couple of U.S. drivers here today that hope to make a dent in that. Australia coming up to fourth place, and Finland. How did the Finns drop to fifth? Just not used to seeing them down there. Maybe a strong run by Koivisto today gets them back up the ladder.
Yeah, the Finns just don't seem to have a presence in this car the way they do in other series. Koivisto being, of course, the one regular representative we see almost week in and week out. But as they put times on the board, interestingly, well, it was Billy Bob Wright for a moment, but no surprise, Mick Claridge has supplanted him. And it looks like, wow, by a large margin. And Michel Dudignon tops it by 2 more tenths as they continue to tumble in.
I think Dudignon was sandbagging a bit in practice this morning.
There is a large gap between drivers at the moment. Second place Claridge at a 1:23.3, and then Billy Bob Wright. Look at that, a second and a half back from our leader. And Trangrade's going to top him for third.
Joe, it's 100 degrees on track, so it's going to be a little slick out there. Now, it's partly cloudy, so that's not bad. Only 71 degrees outside. But this track is tricky enough without any heat added, isn't it?
It is bouncy. It is tough. There's bumps everywhere. There's crests where the cars get light. And, you know, that's one thing, Sean, but the thing that really makes that tough, I'd say, is the proximity to the barriers in a lot of places.
Could be a real ender real quick. I know once you get across the start-finish line right here, the track, you talk about the car getting light, just over that little crest right there. Those walls come up real quick if you get out of shape there, and that will end your race.
Now, looks like Mick Claridge is not going to be able to answer Dudignon. He is not going to take his second lap. I'm not sure if he had an incident somewhere along the way. Dudignon right now is just finishing his second one at a 1:23.1. Actually, I believe he improved by a tenth or so there. But that's going to solidify his first place over Trangrade. Next car up that's high up the order to try and topple him. He's got a 1:24.6, so he's going to have some serious improvement as he comes over Deerleap and crosses the line. Looks like the best he can do is a 1:24.1.
And grid position today probably as important as it's ever been this season. Passing just really, really tough at this track. Where you start might just be where you finish today.
AJ Bear has yet to put in his first lap, which he's going to do just about now, and he goes to third. Wow.
That is impressive. AJ was having some hardware problems yesterday and today. Joe, he seems to have gotten those sorted out just in time to get in third right now here in qualifying.
And despite more drivers kind of slotting into that third position, we've now had Trangrade and Bear beat Wright for that spot. He's still 7 tenths off of Claridge. That is just incredible. Now, it looks like we've got a familiar face, instead of out on track, out in the chat today there, Sean.
We do. Jack Olstad checking in from the capital of the great state of Texas, where he is visiting for a certain reason there. Joe, I can't remember. There's something big in town there in Austin this week.
Yeah, I think he's out at Circuit of the Americas. I assume he's out there to see Justin Timberlake?
That's right. They got the big Timberlake show this weekend. Oh, and a little something called the Formula One Grand Prix there at the Circuit of the Americas.
I'm sure he's enjoying himself, and a big shout to Jack, and hope to see you back next week. So with about a minute left, I'm seeing everybody's put their time in. Billy Bob Wright has completed his second lap, or at least given up on his second lap, it looks like. He's coming back out on track, though. But everybody's got their 2 laps in, so let's go through the grid. Michel Dudignon on the pole with a 1:23.1. He's got 2 tenths over the outside of that front row. Mick Claridge with a 1:23.3. AJ Bear is a whole 7 tenths back in third at a 1:24. Then you've got fourth with Ove Trangrade, and then Billy Bob Wright will start in fifth today. And then in sixth, we've got Brett Rial. Next to him, we've got Benjamin Zogo starting in seventh, Sean.
All right, and starting to 8th today, I believe this is going to be his first race here. Tommy Unhola, they're from Finland. 9th, it's going to be Hideki Koivisto. 10th, going to go to Andrew Eng today. Richard Morin will be 11th. Robert Robinson, that's right, Robert Robinson, 12th. Marcelo Aiello has not taken a lap. I'm going to show him 13th right now. Well, I'm sorry, he's 14th. Don, tell me something good, right now in 13th. So there you go. There's our field, 14 today.
All right, so they begin to grid up, and we're already getting some banter in the race chat between our front row, Michel Dudignon and Mick Claridge. Unfortunately, some of it we can't repeat, but there's definitely some there's some Monty Python references in there.
Something's been thrown in someone's general direction. So
yes.
If you're a Monty Python fan, you get that. So.
And to Jack in our chat, no, I haven't mentioned on air how much I love this track, but I have told Sean how much I love or don't love this track, rather.
He's on their, Joe's on their Christmas card list every year. They send him one there from Oulton Park.
I generally avoid this one. It just does not. I told our director before the race that I think I only finished about 40% of the races that I took place in this Lotus 49 that raced here. So, as the cars get out to the grid, waiting to go racing for 22 laps today here around Oulton Park. Going to be very tough to pass. Let's see if Mick Claridge can do anything on Dudignon, and how many drivers can actually make it to that checkered flag. That's the question. As the lights come up, the engines rev. The green flag is out. Michel Dudignon has a decent start, and immediately Mick Claridge takes a look at the inside to see if he can try to get by, but nothing doing there. AJ Bear is going to have to slot into third. Ove Trangere trying to fend off Billy Bob Wright. Billy Bob now lifts coming down into Cascades.
He does, and boy, that lift already losing time. Ove Trangere screaming away from him. Here at the back of the pack, though, everybody already gone line astern, Joe. Allowing a little bit of space to get this first lap in, get some heat in these tires.
Down to Shell Oil Corner, the slow banked hairpin, all of them just single file. And now to the difficult backstretch where the car is going to get light over Hilltop. So far, everybody managing it. And then up to the very tricky braking into Knickerbrook. And right now, Mick Claridge is staying all over Dudignon. Up to the double apex of Druids, a bit of a slide wide from our French leader. And here comes Claridge. He's taking a look to the inside. Is he going to try and send one in? Dudignon goes defensive. He sees the move coming. Outbreak him into the corner. Here comes the Brit. It's going to be a track race up and over Deerleaf. This is going to be difficult here, Sean.
Ooh, and Claridge skating all over the place there. Oh, and he's going to break it. I'm sorry, I lost myself there. It's really close.
Oh, they come together. Dudignon slides into the inside. He hits the tires. Wow, what a twist on the first lap.
Yeah, you're going to see AJ Bear get off to the left there. He gets a little bit of the grass here, Joe, when he gets out to the left. And car shoots back up on track right into Dudignon, unfortunately. Obviously, Claridge able to continue on. Dudignon really hurt here. Watch it from Dudignon's cockpit.
Gonna watch on board here. I'd almost call this a racing incident, though, because Dudignon was pretty far out there. And Claridge, of course, didn't mean to swing back inside. But Claridge, I wonder if he got a little bit of suspension damage from that, because AJ Bear has been putting the pressure on, and they've even got Ove Trangere now in this three-car fight for the lead.
Yeah, and I do see a little bit of damage on Claridge's front end there. That could be a bit of suspension damage going on. So far, he holds on pretty well.
Now, Dudignon has not given up. He's continuing on, but he is in 12th. Boy, he has got a mountain to climb on this one. And this is a boon to third place Ove Trangere. If he can bring it out in that position, that'll give a nice points haul over Dudignon.
Well, Dugnon definitely damaged, but not done, I don't think, Joe. I think the car is in decent shape. He's going to just get by Andrew Eng. Gets another spot back up to 11th. Don Good in front of him now.
Ooh, Good goes a little bit wide, and that gives another one. So Dugnon already on his first recovery lap has moved up into the top 10, but just like in 1967, the points here only pay to 6th place. We watch Richard Morin, the next on his list, and he's right up on top of him already. Now coming up to Hilltop. Wow, and just look at the run that Dugnon gets. Morin lets him through.
Yeah, I'm thinking Dugnon got a bit of a chip on his shoulder at this point, Joe.
Well, he really wants to get back up there, and I think he might get into the points. Now, the question on whether he can get up to Trangrade, that might be a little bit harder task as Dugnon climbs up to the back of Koivisto, gets to the inside, down into Lodge, and that's going to be an easy pass for the Frenchman.
2 spots to go to get back in the points.
All right, that now moves him up into 8th. Up at the front, though.
Yeah, it's getting very uncomfortable here for AJ Bear. Ove Trengrade really pressing. Claridge not really getting away from these two.
No, but he's got himself at least a half-second gap. Bear is probably looking more in his mirrors than he is ahead at this point. As they come around the hairpin one more time. Trangrade getting a decent launch off of there. This could make the difference as they come around turn 6, now up over Hilltop. Stretching apart, and then they're going to accordion back together as you really have to break here through Knickerbrook.
Oh boy, AJ really fighting that car.
And not a track where you really want the car to be antsy and nervous. You want this machine to be planted. As AJ Bear continues to lose a little bit of ground by a little bit of ground on the Brit. Now up over Deerleap. Oh wow, he is stretching away in that Ferrari. So our podium cars separated by just a little over a second. The majority of that gap between first and second at the moment. Down into Cascades one more time. AJ Bear making himself a little bit more comfortable over the Norwegian. And behind them, there really isn't much of a battle. Everybody's just kind of getting their own space. And that doesn't surprise me too much at this track, Sean.
Yeah, your biggest enemy here is the track, I think more so than the car in front of you, behind you, or next to you. Probably better to play the patient game. 22 laps around here. Got to probably feel like 100 at most tracks.
A little bit farther down the field, we've got a battle for 10th, it looks like, between Morin and Eng. Now, Eng was as close as half of a second, but he's dropped off just slightly on Morin.
I think Eng is just still trying to really get settled in here, Joe. Just doesn't seem to be very consistent yet, but he does. Oh, what happened there? Morin all of a sudden slowed down for no reason. Did he just give it to him, Joe?
Yeah, I think he lifted. I think he didn't want the pressure behind, just wanted to finish this race. Oh, we had a pass for position, or almost a pass for position, as Dugnon and Unhola.
Yeah, it's done. It's done and dusted, buddy. Dugnon gets that up to 7th.
Beautiful move down into the Lodge. One of the few places where you can reliably try and stick your nose in. Honestly, Sean, one of the few places that just has a straightforward braking zone.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a good move by Dugnon there. He got that done and then got by quickly, dispatched of Unhola quickly.
Next up, Benjamin Zoko, first driver in the points for Dugnon. And he's going to have to try and climb 4.5 seconds to get him.
We haven't really talked much about Billy Bob, right? He, Joe, really off to a solid start. I mean, he's picked up a spot. He's in 4th. He's held off reality to this point. Reale just doesn't seem to have the legs to get to him yet.
And we've seen these two battle before. Let's see what Brett can do to the Floridian. Come up and over the crest around the exit of Druids, trying to get that power down. And in almost a reverse of that corner, when they hit Lodge, instead of a crest going up, it's a crest going down, dropping away into the valley, and then up and over Deer Leap they come to complete yet another lap. 16 to go.
I really had trouble dialing in Lodge today in practice, Joe. It was a very, very challenging turn there in 11.
You know, honestly, one that was frighteningly fast for me whenever I raced here and tough to get right is Island Bend coming up. This fast left-hander right here.
Yeah, well, you've got to, I don't know, either brake or downshift right there to keep that car from going all the way out to the right into the grass. You're carrying a lot of speed down through there, and then you got to slow it down because you can't make it through there, obviously, flat out.
Yeah, I mean, it leads directly into that braking for the hairpin, and that was always so tricky. You have to have the car settled. This is quite a course. And you know what's interesting about this place too, Sean, is what I found is they actually extended it after they built it. That little island loop down to Shell Oil Hairpin wasn't there when they originally built the place.
Yeah, lots of configuration changes over the many years this track has been in existence, not to mention the number of configurations available on iRacing. I think there's 6 of them, Joe.
Yeah, the chicanes give a lot of variances that you can get as Billy Bob Wright continues to lead ahead of Brett Reale. We've been watching this fight for 4th. And wow, well, we need to go back to Dudignon because it was 4.5 seconds. Well, it's down to 1 second between himself and the Australian.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like I said earlier, the car has got some damage on it. Apparently, it just appears to be physical damage to the nose of the car. Suspension, obviously, still in good shape. He's turning down, his last lap was a 1:23.4.
Man, just incredible. And the aerodynamics don't mean quite as much as fast as this track is. I think it's all about the handling of this car. And Dudignon already getting up to the gearbox of Zoko. Is he going to try and tempt too wide over a hilltop? That can be really sketchy. And Zoko goes defensive down into Knickerbrook. He's not going to give this one up easily. Others may have moved out of the way, but not the Australian. Climbing up towards Druids, once again holding a little bit to the middle of the track. Drifts wide at the second apex, brings it back to the inside, coming down to Lodge. Here comes Dudignon with a good run and good braking into this final corner. Oh, just can't quite pull it off around the outside.
Man, Zoko putting up a nice fight there. Yeah, Zoko trying to end his Saturday on a high note.
Continues to fend him off through Old Hall. Now they come to Cascades. And yeah, he really wants this point. It may be 1 point, but that is still a marker on the board. Another good run from Dudignon, but Island Bend just not a place that you can typically pass. He holds back. Doesn't look like he's going to have an opportunity up through the Shell Oil Hairpin. Oh, he's setting it off the corner, though. Gets himself a nice run, holds onto the gearbox. What's going to happen here? Down to the inside once again as they both get a little bit light over the crest. Dudignon backs off of it. Can he get the over-under maybe around this kink?
Dudignon had to lift a little bit there, Joe. He got the left tires just out on the grass a bit. Oof.
This is an intense fight for 6th place out here with 14 laps to go. More than half the race left. A defensive move once again into Lodge by Zoko. Dudignon looking for the over-under, but it's going to put him on the outside through Deer Leap. Ooh. Has to lift just a little bit too much. Goes back to the outside once again, trying to get himself to run off the corners. Oh, look at that big lift coming up the Cascades. This is a fierce defense. Oh, and it looks like Onhola has had a problem. We'll get back to that in a second because a move to the inside of Island Bend. Like I said, usually you do not see side by side. He's going to have to go the long way around Shell Oil. Carries the speed around the banking. Dudignon is getting desperate now. And finally, as he gets the launch off the corner, he moves himself finally into 6th. But I think it's not over. Zoko is fighting back up and over the crest of Hilltop. Down into Knickerbrook. He's got the inside. He comes back at him, but he has to get the run off the corner. Through the inside goes Dudignon, and Dudignon finally gets himself into the points with that move.
How about that crossover, Joe? I think we need to go back and look what happened to Onhola. Tommy had some trouble just over Deer Leap. You're going to see it here on the replay. It does not end well, unfortunately.
And most cars on iRacing, not a place that presents any sort of trouble at all, but you can see just how much he struggled with. Oh, and actually we're looking at him. That was him continuing on, it looks like. All right, looks like we're not going to find it.
Tommy in the pits now, though, unfortunately, after that incident.
No, actually, he's sitting stationary on the front stretch.
Is he still sitting there?
Yeah. He tried to take off, and car was too damaged. Actually, I think he might be lodged into the wall. Yeah, he is. He's trying to get the car out of it. There he goes. All right, he's going again now. That's a pretty damaged Lotus, though. I don't think he wants
to try to get on track.
No, please don't.
Joe, boy, Billy Bob Wright, I would say, is probably under a little bit of pressure here from Reale. Reale's not going away. As hard as Billy Bob tries, he's not been able to shake him. Brett, it continues the mini runs at him, and every run comes with a sacrifice of time. Every failed run, that is. Brett, though, still, like I said, hanging around, kind of being a pest.
And for those of you who are wondering what's happened to our podium battle, well, Mick Claridge has stretched it out over Bear to nearly 4 seconds, but Bear, surprisingly, is the one that has really been able to gap the car behind of Ove Trangarade. It is 5 seconds from second to third. And incredibly, in all of this, we've only had 2 retirements so far, Sean.
Yeah, and the most recent there on Hola just a couple laps ago. But Joe, this time by, we've only got 10 laps left, which is kind of hard to believe. I'd almost like to petition for more laps if we can.
I wouldn't if it was me out there. But, yeah, it's with only 12 cars left and only 1 car a lap down, we should point out. Marcelo Aiello, continuing on in that 12th spot, has been lapped by a few of our leaders. And the way that we saw Onhola stay out there, it almost kind of, it would be interesting if we had drivers do like they used to do back in '67, Sean, where they didn't necessarily take the cars off the track after they wrecked. Your car was stayed where it was, was fully dead until the end of the race.
Some of the pictures from back then are just crazy when you see them. You see smoldering heaps of twisted metal off to the side up against a barrier as the cars are coming by at 180 miles an hour, and you think to yourself, what's safe about that?
Yeah. Meanwhile, as we ride on board with Wright, looking back at Real, it's just been holding steady here. Like you said, just putting the pressure on him. Hasn't had an opportunity, hasn't been close enough to try and make a dive. Brett holding that 5th spot. He soon might be looking behind himself because Dudignon has cut the gap down to 5.5 seconds.
Yeah, he's definitely got time to get this done, Joe.
Fortunately for Dudignon, it's about, it looks like 9 seconds, 10 seconds up to Trangarade. He'd have to gain about a second a lap consistently to catch him by the final lap, and that's assuming he isn't slowed down by fighting with Real and Wright. let's give you an update of where everybody sits. In fact, let's start from the back since we talked about the front a little bit earlier. Give some of those guys a little bit of love. All the way back to Marcelo Aiello, as we mentioned, the only driver who has been lapped, continuing on in 12th. And he's actually got a big gap up to the next car. He must have had a big problem. Who is Don Good, sitting in 11th. Now, he's not too far behind the next car. Good, we saw pulling off to the side, letting some of the faster drivers through, just wanting to finish this race. And he's trying to chase down Richard Morin, who's about 3 seconds up, starting our top 10. Ahead of Morin, you've got Andrew Ang, who we saw overtake Morin earlier on. He's still in that 9th spot, hasn't changed it since. And he's not too far behind our only Finn out there today, Hideki Koivisto. Although I think you said Onhola? Only Finn on track, we should say. Onhola's, well, Onhola's still on track, actually. He hasn't towed yet. He is taking that philosophy we talked about before. He's just going to hold there. But
I guess so.
Koivisto is in 8th right now, and pretty much on his own race, he's not near anybody. He's got 16 seconds up to Benjamin Zoko, who is a long ways up, who has unfortunately lost that lone point that he was fighting so hard to hold on to. And then we get into the points, Sean.
Yes, sir. And right now it's Michel Dugnan there on screen there in 6th. And now that gap getting a little bit closer for Dugnan. I think he's going to catch him, definitely. Benjamin Zoko currently in 7th. That's right where he started. Oh, I'm sorry. Pay attention, Sean. Brett Reale there in 5th. That's who's being chased. Got my pointer going in the wrong direction here. And then Billy Bob Wright there in 4th. It's been a great race. He's been able to hold off Brett Reale. Ove Trengered currently in 3rd. Ove having a good run here so far, up a position. And we'll go up to 2nd. It's AJ Bear. AJ been the chaser for quite a while. But I'll tell you what, the distance keeps getting wider between him and Mick Claridge, who is our leader. And after that little incident between Mick and Michel Dugnan early, it's been all Mick Claridge, Joe.
It almost feels a little bit like the Singapore F1 race earlier this year, Sean, where we were robbed of what could have been an epic battle between Claridge and Dugnan. It looked like that Claridge was going to try and hassle him all race, but that coming together instead gave us a climb through the field. Dugnan now down to 3 seconds on Brett Reale, the Pennsylvania driver. Currently on 2 points. That may change.
Wow. Richard Morin just having a real close moment getting by Marcel Aiello.
That was putting a lap on him.
Yeah. I mean, they almost locked wheels there going by.
Might be good from watching onboard Morin. As we see here from, yeah, that is a marginal corner in this car. So that had to have been a little bit of what some of the drivers call a pucker moment.
Yes, definitely. #pucker.
Whew! It looked even closer from the gearbox of the Canadian. As we come back live, Morin still in the top 10. Oh, and Mick Claridge is stationary. What happened to Mick?
He had trouble, Joe. Big trouble for Mick Claridge. It looked like it was out of turn 1, actually, out of Old Hall.
No, this was coming up to Druids. Wow, just that crest that we were talking about pre-race coming up there, it sent him off wide, and when he was into the grass, he lost control, and he bounded across the pavement into the Armco. Here, let's watch on board.
Oh,
wow,
boy.
Just that one little mistake.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit of he hits the high part of the curb there. That didn't help him. But that put him on a toe, put him on the hook into the pits. That's it for Mick Claridge.
We talked about the difficulty, how tricky it is. We're going to watch it one more time here. around this circuit. And it's not just the mid-pack, the back-of-the-pack drivers. Our top drivers here have found it too hard to try and tame this circuit. Mick Claridge, with only 6 laps to go, I do not think is going to finish. And this promotes AJ Bear to give him potentially a win today and moving Ove Trangarade now up into second, giving him an even better points haul.
Poor Mick Claridge going to lead with his head buried in his hands again this week, Joe.
And we haven't talked about it. We're trying to not focus on it for once, but he's been having a horrible season. Just last week he talked about how his season was going to start last week, and yet he had more problems. And yet again, just how many points does he have on the board actually?
Ooh, I'd have to go back and look. I'm not really sure. It's funny too, as he elected to go with no ballast this season. I don't know if that's helped him at all.
No.
Maybe he should go back to ballast. He was having much better runs with it. Hey, listen, AJ Bear's got to be very, very careful here. I think he's feeling the pressure of being the leader right now. A little sloppy this trip around the track. Ove Trangarade. Boy, that's somebody else altogether. Ove Trangarade closing in just a little bit, Joe. He's not. It's not an eternity. It's under 3 seconds.
Yeah, Ove is going to have to give it the juice, certainly, to try and run down AJ. See, as you said, that gap is not too wide. And if AJ makes any sort of mistake, that could set him back into the clutches. I kind of don't blame AJ, though. I think I would maybe just back the pace off just a little bit, try to preserve the car. And we finally got some information. Only 6 points so far from Mick Claridge. I think he's taken 1 win to get those, or no, 1 second place, I believe, to get those points so far. He's 7th on the board. Even still, just incredible here after we've run 6 rounds. And Michelle has now caught up to Brett Rial. The fight is on for what is now 4th. Down in Old Hall corner.
Billy Bob Wright only about a second and a half up the road here. I would say the podium not out of the question for Dugnan yet.
Yeah, incredible. But to tell you the truth, Billy Bob right now, he's hoping that Brett puts up a good fight.
Yeah.
Says, take your time. You got 4 laps. Keep him busy.
All of a sudden, Brett Riali is Billy Bob Wright's teammate.
So as Dugnan now stalks him, looking carefully, he had to work very hard to get by the Australian of Benjamin Zoko. He's got a very good run. He's coming up over a hilltop, but unlike Zoko, Brett Rial holds to the outside. And unfortunately, Dugnan not brave enough to try and stick his nose into Knickerbrook.
I think Dugnan's had enough excitement for one day, Joe.
I think after such a hard fight to get up to here, at this point I have to imagine he doesn't want to throw the points away. Limit the damage from here. He's already going to have 2 points at least. And even though he will not take the lead away in the championship from Ove in this one, he can at least keep himself within striking range. Gets another good run, but once again up to Cascades as the cars have to switch across the track. Just can't quite get it in there as they both cut in. A little bit better apex, though, for the Frenchman as Dugnan now looks to the inside. He's going to go side by side once again down into Island Bend. But no guts, no glory for Brett Rial. He's not willing to try and go side by side through there.
Good opportunity there for Dugnan. He slides by, and now he can get to work on catching Billy Bob. Billy Bob 1.5 seconds ahead.
If I know Billy Bob, he is not going to give this one up. We are going to see just as hard of a fight from the Floridian. As they come through Knickerbrook. And I think at the line, I'm guessing it'll be about a second with 2 laps to go. Gaining quickly. And now things have switched. Now Real's probably hoping the two of them fight hard so that Brett can maybe get up in this and maybe gain 2 positions. Don't forget, 7th place has closed up. Andrew Ang has gained ground on Hideki Koivisto. Now, this is not for points between these two, but I betcha they're going to have a little bit of a tussle.
Yeah, both still looking to pick up well, Ang just looking to pick up another position here. So I mean, a little bit of pride at stake. Andrew
Absolutely.
Ang from the Midwest wouldn't mind getting another position on a Finn.
I'm sure he would. But we might want to keep our eyes up on the podium as Billy Bob Wright, in his mirrors, now has the blue and white machine of Michel Dudignon. And Dudignon gets a fantastic run. Billy Bob Wright switches to the middle of the track, but it's too late as he's got his nose in. They're going to go side by side down in an Eckerbrook. Billy Bob maybe looking for the over-under, but there's a car there, and he can't do anything with it. Dudignon with a decisive move to get himself into 3rd. Have now got traffic, though. This could come into play. Maybe just a little bit of a hairy moment for the Frenchman. But it doesn't play into the hands of Billy Bob Wright as he drops back. That was Marcelo Aiello. White flag is now out. The battle for 7th has died down between Ang and Koivisto, so let's take a look at AJ Bear. The gap between himself and Ove Trangarade has shrunk. It is now 1.5 seconds. AJ may be backing it off, just trying to bring the car home. Thinking he's got 1.5 seconds. He's got time. He doesn't have to have a fast pace around this final lap. AJ on the other hand, Ove on the other hand, pushing hard, I imagine, at this point. Trying desperately to claw what he can to get himself into a spot in case there's a big mistake from Trangarade to maybe steal a win, to maybe get maximum points, and try and get one over on Dudignon to extend that gap as much as he can. They come up to Druids, the double apexer. A little bit wide there for Bear. Now to the final braking zone. Into Lodge. It's down to a second between Trangarade and Bear. All he has to do is bring it over the crest of Deer Leap. AJ Bear is going to take the win here at Oulton Park.
Trangarade comes sliding across there. Good finish for him.
And how about this? At the line, it's only going to be 11 seconds between Dudignon and Bear for the win after coming back from second to last position. Billy Bob Wright just off the podium, probably a little bit disappointed. He held off Brett Real, though, at least to get that 4th spot. And Benjamin Zoko going to be the last car to get a point.
Oh, okay, one last gasp here for Andrew Ang. Taking one last shot at Hideki Koivisto.
Koivisto going a little bit defensive down into Lodge. Doesn't track out, though, coming off the corner. But he's going to keep it. Koivisto just outside of the points in 7th. And I want to say this is the first race we've had that Koivisto did not score points. I'll have to go back and check that.
And we can check that. I think you're right there, Joe.
It's been an impressive season, especially considering if this is his first one without outside of the points, he was 1 position away from it, too. So a really good run for the Finn. With that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And on the screen, we'll have all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Oulton Park. We just saw some great vintage racing, and boy, this track put on some excitement as we had cars having problems, cars having to climb their way through the field, pressure being put on. But in the end, the pressure did not faze AJ Bear as he took home a win, and he held off Ove Trangerade for that. Trangerade managing to get himself 6 points today. Valuable to get himself back into the points lead after this race. And third, rounding out the podium, Michel Dudignan, of course, climbing from the back of the field. He may have started on the pole, but an incident on the second lap sent him to the back of the field. Billy Bob Wright was not able to hold off the Frenchman, but he still took a 4th place, and Brett Rial came home in 5th. Last of the points goes to the Australian Benjamin Zoko. Hideki Koivisto with his first race of the season, not scoring points, and even still, he was only 1 position away from it. He finished in 7th, and then in 8th, Sean, it's Andrew Ang.
Okay, then we'll go back to 9th. Richard Morin is going to manage to finish on the lead lap, Joe, and he'll do it in 9th. Don, tell me something good. The Club West driver finishes 10th today. Marcelo Aiello, he does finish this race a couple laps down in 11th. McClarich, boy, tough day for him, and that'll be 12th. Tommy Mikel Anhola spent most of his race there in that barrier. Finishes 13th, and Robert Robinson with connection trouble early will finish 14th, Joe.
Waiting for some of our podium to show, but looks like we'll have to go to our 5th place finisher, Brett Rial. Talk to him about that fight with both Billy Bob and, of course, with Michelle in the race. But first up, I see that you might have an actual track day coming up tomorrow, Brett.
Yeah, is my mic working?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, it was kind of like an anniversary present from my wife. She bought me one of those, exotic supercar day things up at Pittsburgh International, so that'll be fun. I never gotten to drive a Lamborghini before, so that'll be kind of neat. And she bought me a ton of laps too.
Nice. Well, do you feel less scared about that now that you've had to take the 49 around Oulton?
I really don't know. I've actually never driven a high horsepower car before. I mean, I used to ride motorcycles on the track, which is a different animal altogether, but there's something about getting into a car that's, 2,500 pounds and 700 horsepower that's a little bit freaky in real life.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, talk to us a little bit about that fight with Billy Bob Wright. And did you expect Dudignan to be coming back up and actually catch you after his early problems?
Oh, Michelle? Yeah, most certainly. The guy's just insane. When you see him coming up behind you and you look at your relative every now and again, you go, okay, he's 5 seconds back, a lap later. Okay, he's just 3.5 seconds back. And I'm sure Billy Bob and myself were driving as hard as we feel possible. And then I get behind him after he, blows by me when I blow a corner. And he just rockets out of the corner. I don't know how he gets the power down like he does. Him and Mick, they get that power down early and hard and hold it. And I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, there's something about the sense that they have with that traction. I can't figure it out either. The next race that we have is going to be at Phillip Island. A bit of a different beast from here. A lot more runoff area, I'd say, on that track. Are you a fan of the Australian track, or is that one that you're not looking forward to?
I think it's really, really fun. And when since I like motorcycle racing, I think that, it's definitely made as a motorcycle track. And I tend to take a lot more inside lines on Phillip Island for some reason. I don't know why that is. When I get onto that track, I think I ride it like a 1970s motorcyclist and really try and nail inside lines, which I think helps when you're in front of people. But I don't know. I think it's a great track. I think it's really fun.
Brett, you're going to be in the Lamborghini Hurricane tomorrow. You're driving the Hurricane. Is that right?
I think it's I'm pretty sure it's the Hurricane. I don't think it's the Aventador, but it'll be interesting. Like I said, I've never driven anything like that. I think the car I have now is the most horsepower car I've ever had, which is a Subaru Legacy. So, yeah.
Wow, are you in for it? Listen, I am super jealous. I'm gonna tell some truth here. My favorite car of all time is the Lamborghini Countach.
Oh,
So yeah, I go back a little bit.
Did you have the
Lamborghinis.
poster? Did you have the poster with the white?
I had several posters, and I even had a glass picture in a frame, all sparkly and everything. So yeah, I was kind of a freak for him. But I am extremely jealous that you'll be in that Lamborghini tomorrow. Hey, buddy, have a lot of fun and be safe.
All right, always good talking to you guys. See ya.
There's Brett Real, 5th place finisher here today. We do have Mick Claridge. Unfortunately, he only came home in 12th. And Mick, it seemed like you were finally going to get a win on the board this season, and then it all went away. Tell us about it.
Oh, hi, God. Yeah, that was tough. That was, I didn't really want to win like that anyway. I was really up for the fight with Michelle today. We was in practice, and we were really close. And qualifying was the first time that we had a bit of a gap, even though it was just only a couple of attempts in qualifying. And he knew I was as quick as him, and obviously I knew he was as quick as me, and we was really up for the fight. So to kick him off like that was really annoying.
And then, of course, you had your mistake late in the race coming up towards Druids. Is that something that you find happens to you a lot here, or is that unusual for you to lose it like that?
I actually looked at the F3 screen, and I never run with the F3 screen on, and I don't know why I did it, but I put the F3 screen and down the back straight, and as I turned around to the right-hander, went up the hill, I just had a quick glance at it, and that was enough. It's right on a gear change as well, which I should leave it in 4th, I think it is. I should leave it in, but I changed up to 5th there, and it sort of kicked the back end out. So yeah, it happens quite a lot there to me, to be honest with you.
I know it happens to me a lot around here. Now, Sean joked a little bit during the broadcast that you had a better season when you were putting ballast in the car. You considering maybe switching back to that? See if that helps the latter half of your season here?
Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, no, do you know what? I don't know. It's just one of them seasons. So it's really weird. Go and have a look at the official championship. You wouldn't believe how much I'm winning it by. And it's so annoying because I'm really driving terribly on Saturday and then really good on Sundays. So it's just one of them things. I'm not even bothering to question it now.
Sometimes the racing gods just like to have a little fun with us in ways that are not fun for us. But again, commiserations, and look forward to seeing you at Phillip Island.
Yeah, cheers, guys. That'll be a good race, that will.
I anticipate it will be. And with that, we're going to close up today. Of course, we want to thank Jack Ulstead and Benjamin Zilko for helping bring these broadcasts to air. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. And in fact, I saw another tweet from Casey Lalonde earlier this week. He is now in the process of mastering his new album. So he said expect that, I believe, early 2018, or at least sometime in December, I understand. Of course, thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race, as we mentioned, Phillip Island, down under we go, finally away from the UK tracks. I think we've exhausted all of them, actually. That'll be Saturday, October 28th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. You also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.